Hello and welcome back to the channel. I know, World of Warcraft on my channel, finally. Just today, the phenomenal cinematic Old Soldier was released on the World of Warcraft YouTube channel, and wow, it really did blow me away to finally see one of my favorite Warcraft characters, Varrock Sarfang, get some actual spotlight. It's just been great. It's a shame he's a bit suicidal and that, but apparently that's just in the Sarfang bloodline, so don't worry about that. Today, we're going to be breaking down the Old Soldier cinematic and link it up fully to the Battle of Lordaeron. There's a lot of old meanings and references in this cinematic, and you should really know them, so let's get right into it. We begin with two of the darkest moments in Varrock's old years. Recent, hellish moments for him. The second death of his son, Dranosh Sarfang, and then also, of course, the burning of the World Tree Teldrassil, followed up immediately by his face thinking on these fond memories, what joy they must have been for him. Starting with Dranosh Sarfang, the would-be war chief of the Horde, what Thrall wanted Garrosh to be, it's the son of Varrock. Dranosh Sarfang was the true successor to the Horde, son to Varrock and nephew to the monster Broxagar the Red. Unlike Garrosh, Dranosh listened to his father's ideals of loyalty and honour properly, fully, willing to fight for the greater good and not just to fight. Rather than seeing the Alliance as weak cowards like Garrosh, he saw them for what they actually were, strong and valiant, worthy of his respect, even worthy of friendship. He was gifted his father's armour and battle axe during his conquest in Northrend. He had actually risen up to succeed Varrock and Broxagar and lead the Horde to a better life already.
Rise up, sons of the Horde! Blood and glory await us! Luntargar for the Horde!
I was wondering if you'd show up.
I couldn't let the Alliance have all the fun today.
But it was not meant to be. Dranosh was still young and wild and rushed in to prevent any more death. He felt he could end the madness of the Lich King, and well, he was wrong. That was a warrior's death though, against a foe who was hated and who spread dread and horror to the world. But this death was not Dranosh's last. He was resurrected and enslaved as a Death Knight once his soul was stolen in that quick act by the Lich King. Dranosh came back to haunt the land of the living as the champion of the Lich King. He became the Lich King's most powerful Death Knight.
Champions, watch your backs. The Scourge have been
Join me, Father. Join me and we will crush this world in the name of the Scourge. For the glory of the Lich King.
My boy died at the Wrathgate. I am here only to collect his body.
Stubborn and old, what chance do you have? I am stronger and more powerful than you ever were.
We named him Dranosh. It means Heart of Draenor in Orcish. I would not let the warlocks take him. My boy would be safe, hidden away by the elders of Garadar. I made a promise to his mother before she died, that I would cross the dark portal alone. Whether I lived or died, my son would be safe, untainted. Today, I fulfill that promise.
Pathetic old orc. Come then, heroes. Come and face the might of the Scourge. By the might of the Lich King.
This was a fantastic boss fight back in the day, and the lore implications were so amazing after the Wrathgate.
I am released.
You will have a proper ceremony in Nagrand, next to the pyres of your mother and ancestors. Honor young heroes, no matter how dire the battle. Never forsake it.
After Varric left the scene, he took his son's body away from the frozen land of Icecrown to bury him in Nagrand, next to the pyres of his mother and his ancestors. It seemed from the new Old Soldier cinematic, the frozen wastes of Icecrown was actually a safe space in which no one could witness Varric truly, properly grieve his son at last. And finally, it should be noted that when Thrall was to leave the Horde to begin his quest to understand the elemental unrest in the world, just before the Shattering or the Cataclysm, he was considering who to make War Chief. And it was at that moment, that time, that Thrall expressed the belief that Draenosh would have been the ideal War Chief and the ideal choice to replace him, thanks to his might and wisdom inherited from Varric Sarfang. Rest in peace, Draenosh. Moving forward, we have a short interaction with a young troll who comes up to the wall with Saurfang. And this basically identifies the fact that they cannot win the Battle of Lordaeron, at least in Saurfang's opinion.
How many do you think?
Too many. There is no honor in this. They will come for us now. All of them!
During this time, Saurfang's essentially just taking off his armor and goes to set fire to the Horde symbol that he kept from the body of Draenosh, which is kind of true confirmation that in this very moment, Varric Saurfang doesn't care about the Horde anymore. The symbol somehow now means nothing to him. It's not the Horde that he loves or defends that's under Sylvanas. It's sort of a repeat abomination, that one that kills without honor, the one that murders innocents and children. Something Saurfang has done in the past and is haunted by and has been haunted by since. And so he doesn't need or want that symbol anymore, even if it had belonged to his dead son, because he now sees it as that monster that he was and was part of for so long, and it's repeating that cycle again.
You have earned your warrior's death, my son. Yet once again, I am denied it.
With most of his armor removed, Varrock puts on his warpaint and heads out alone into the Alliance army with just his axe. He's aiming to challenge as many as he can before they inevitably kill him. This way he can guarantee his warrior's death. But this is actually pathetic by Varrock's own standards and not a true warrior's death at all. This is essentially suicide. Lucky for us, the young troll does chase after Saurfang, giving Varrock the responsibility of the troll's life if he lets the troll follow him. This was, I guess, the troll's best attempt to help Varrock, to give Varrock a reason not to die yet, because he feels responsible for this other character.
I said go back! Live another day. Go back to your father.
I can't. He's dead. The Horde. It's all we have.
So, you know me. Is that it? What I've seen? What I've done?
Saurfang is referencing a great many things here in the statement, but the most obvious thing would be the killing of the innocent Draenei in Outland. When mad with demon blood, the Orcish Horde was manipulated in the past by the Demon Lord Kil'jaeden into slaughtering the peaceful Draenei. They bombarded the city of Shattrath, killing its defenders in horrific fashion, but they didn't stop there. They killed anyone and anything. The old, the young, it didn't matter. Burned into the mind of Varrock Saurfang are his memories of slaughtering those who could not fight back, could not defend themselves from him. Children, even. And then, while fully in control of himself, no demon blood to blame this on, he helped Sylvanas do very much the same thing to the Night Elves. The murder of those who could not fight back. Varrock is essentially sickened by others in control that lead him and the Horde into slaughter and murder, Not real fights or wars, he loves those, but this isn't a hated foe for him. It's just children and innocent people who can't even fight back this burning of their home. He feels like maybe he could be on the wrong side of this upcoming war, and maybe can't even live with that. Luckily, the young troll does roast him for giving up.
Oh, give up, boy.
Like you?
But before anything comes of said roast, time's up and the sun comes up. The battle for Lordaeron is about to begin. With no other choice, the fight is beginning, and well, Varrock might as well die a warrior of the Horde in this unwinnable battle that's coming. So here's the conclusion I draw from all of this. Saurfang needs to come to terms with the fact that he has been this sort of guilty monster a huge chunk of his life. That he needs to accept he enjoys war and combat, and that's part of who he is. The slaughter of Shattrath and Stormwind was something he did. And yeah, he might have been on demon blood, and that might be the excuse he gives himself. But it is part of who he is, and it's what he has done. Like his brother Broxagar, who came to terms with the fact that he's actually been dishonoring his ancestors by desperately seeking death, rather than the death happening in its own time naturally, you know, when he genuinely falls in combat. This conclusion and realization from Broxagar, Varrock's brother, leads Broxagar to be the one who actually fought Sargeras. He was the first mortal to inflict any damage to the corrupted titan ever, and he did it while all on his own in the demon world. He claimed the most glorious death in orc history because he stopped trying to die and tried to live. And that's the thing, Broxagar went through his life and came to that conclusion and realized kind of his mistakes. Varrock hasn't done the same thing and really needs to. We see that in the following fight of Saurfang, how even after being convinced to live a little bit longer to take part in this fight, that they're no doubt going to lose, right? You see Saurfang essentially barely trying, just there to die, until he's woken up by the surprising battle cry of Sylvanas, that is, when he goes in as hard as he could, and is actually able to get close enough to kill Anduin Wrynn. So following this Old Soldier cinematic is obviously the Battle for Azeroth cinematic, the Battle for Lordaeron. So let's quickly cover Saurfang and this young troll in that cinematic. We see Saurfang barely trying once again. He takes some basic wounds from arrows. The roar of Sylvanas does incite that passion in him, and he runs forth, even grabbing a Horde flag, just to really show that he is trying to win, and he's trying to win for the Horde, which is such a opposite for what we saw just before in the Old Soldier cinematic. This is where Saurfang's always going to be most dangerous, when he actually is trying to win, not die, obviously. As he runs past the same young troll who's by his side in that cinematic, and inspired, the troll breaks a path for Saurfang, basically causing an earthquake around the Alliance soldiers to cause a breach. Which is cool and all, but doesn't last very long because you get this bird's eye view of Saurfang running along, and he just kind of runs past the Alliance soldiers. They don't even try and stop him. Anyway, Saurfang makes it to his target, the Alliance leader, Anduin Wrynn, and if they could kill him, maybe they could win this day. And yet, Saurfang takes this chance and misses it by striking Anduin with the haft of his axe rather than the actual sharp blade. We could argue maybe he needed to remove the helm to make Anduin vulnerable, or I don't know. I just feel like with a big battle axe and a proper swing at least, he could have cleaved through that armor pretty easily, and he certainly had the time to wind up that swing in that moment. Saurfang is held off temporarily by Greymane as Greymane attempts to help Anduin, but the young troll actually helps Saurfang here by blasting lightning into the back of Greymane. And this is where some got a little bit confused or upset. Some actually thought the following troll that leaps on to attack Anduin in that moment is that same young troll, the red-haired troll. But this is a totally different troll, maybe even a warrior, not a shaman. You see his hair's white, while the young troll's hair was very clearly red. It's very clearly a different troll. But good thing too, right? Because Anduin smashes that old troll into the ground. He is dead as hell, pretty much immediately after. As the Horde pushed forward, the Alliance forces were actually crumbling. Somehow, in that rally, the Horde suddenly started to win this unwinnable battle, you know, right up until Anduin resurrects and heals hundreds, if not thousands of soldiers, all in one swoop. And then the Alliance regroup as the barrier falls. We see Saurfang's ready for more, and just behind him, our favourite young troll, completely fine and alive, not crushed by Manduin. Sending out some more lightning because it worked so well last time, right? And that's it. There you have it. Their context and meaning behind Old Soldiers. The little details we're able to connect now from the Battle of Lordaeron and some history from Varric as well. I'm really happy I got to talk about World of Warcraft on the channel, man. And I'd like to do more of that soon. I'm really looking forward to BFA, and I do hope I cover it here, at least to a certain degree. What did you think of Old Soldiers, by the way? I think I somehow appreciated it more than any other cinematic we've seen. And I think that's because it was much more personal. It was a genuine story over the 6 minutes, rather than sort of a trailer for the next thing that's coming. I think that was a really nice change. Anyway, thank you so much for watching and listening, and I'll see you next time.